My name is Rachel Steele, and I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia on June 12, 2010. It all started when I was 16 years old and I had just finished my sophomore year of high school. And I was really active in volleyball at the time, and my club team had actually just qualified for nationals, which was a really big deal. At the time, I was talking to a lot of major universities all across the country, and it was my dream to play college volleyball. Before school ended, I started to get really sluggish and was sleeping through a lot of my classes and actually really slow on the volleyball court. And we thought I had mono, but the test didn't show anything. And so we just kind of figured that I was burned out from being an athlete and going to school. And so I just kind of tried to tough it out. And then eventually, as I was playing like 8 hours of volleyball a day in preparation for nationals, I started to get extreme neck pain, and it was really stiff and just these terrible headaches that I couldn't shake. We ended up going into the ER one Saturday because we thought that I had meningitis because of the neck pain and the severe headache. And I remember being in the ER all day waiting to find out what kind of meningitis I had. And they actually told me around midnight that there were some abnormalities in my blood and that they needed to transfer me up to Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake City. And this is how I found out I had cancer. The plan was that I would be inpatient for about a month, and then I could go home for a week, and then I would return for another month of intense chemo. And so I would be in the hospital for the majority of treatment. I remember having to make phone calls to all of the colleges that were looking at me to play volleyball and tell them that I wouldn't be going to the national tournament, and those were really hard phone calls to make, and I thought I was saying goodbye to my career. My friends and family and community were all so supportive during this time. It still amazes me to think back on how much support I had, and I honestly couldn't have done it without them. They did fundraisers, there were bake sales. My team wore Steele Strong jerseys at the tournament. It was really a neat experience to see just how much support I had. The whole time I was sick, I was determined to get better, and I never even really thought about dying. All I thought about was getting back on the volleyball court. But there came a time where I met the doctors in their office, and they told me that the treatment essentially wasn't working. After 3 rounds of chemo, they had failed to get me into remission, and they told me that my cancer had developed a mutation that made it more resistant to treatment. And at that point, they didn't really know what to do to get me ready for a bone marrow transplant. But they tried this experimental drug that I ended up taking for 10 days that actually put me in remission, and I was able to go through with the bone marrow transplant. But I remember when they told me that they weren't sure what to do, and that my prognosis would change if this didn't work. At that point, that's when my focus shifted from volleyball to just wanting to get better and to live my life and to grow up and have a family of my own. And that's really when it hit me hard that I might actually not make it. Once I was in remission, the fight wasn't over. I still had to go through with a bone marrow transplant, which in and of itself is a really big mountain to climb. I was in the hospital for a total of 8 weeks during this time, and at this point is when I felt my worst. I couldn't eat anything. The mouth sores were terrible. Eventually, the time came to come home. Honestly, this transition from being sick to going back to the real world was probably one of the hardest parts of having cancer, because I really felt like no one understood me. No one could really understand what it felt like to go through what I went through, or to feel kind of lost in transition. I'd been waiting so long to get better, and I didn't know what to do with life once I got there. The National Children's Cancer Society's whole purpose is to help with transitions like these, and they have helped me so much in mine. They They provide a support group of other survivors who actually know what you've gone through, and a lot of them were the same age as I was when I was sick, and you participate in an email thread where you just discuss issues in life that deal with what you went through, and it's been so helpful. Not only that, but they provide service opportunities, and I've gotten to know so many people that I've been able to help and to reach out to and just really extend my hand into the cancer community. Ever since I've been sick, I really just wanted to give back in any way that I could. This is what influenced my decision in becoming a nurse, and NCCS has actually played a huge role in that as well, as they've helped fund my schooling and have made this dream become a reality. And I'm currently in a nursing program and I'm loving it, and I can honestly say that I wouldn't be where I am today without NCCS.